Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the NFL and college football week 6 and week 7, the Pure Degeneracy episode 3 here on YouTube. I am Adam Glick. I'm joined by Ethan Weingart, Glick's Picks, Wine Locks. We're ready to go. Ethan, how are we doing on this fine Thursday evening?
Mr. Adam Glick, we are doing fantastic. 3 straight podcasts, 3 different locations for me, but now
And
seems like we're in a more permanent spot. Very happy, and I'm ready to fire off some degenerate picks.
Yes, sir. We got another good slate. We took last week off because I think the heat was still steaming. It was still on the oven. We were doing very well the first 2 weeks. So we took 1 week off just for the books to try to prepare and make it tough for us coming in to this week's slate. We'll start as we always do with college football and the biggest game on the docket Saturday in college football. Well, actually, Ethan, let's not do that first. We always start with Thursday night football, actually, in the
Yep.
NFL.
Yeah. You're
Not
right.
the yeah,
We'll stick to the schedule.
we'll
We'll
stick
stick
to the schedule here. Not the best of games, but doesn't mean we won't bet it. That's what the podcast is here for, and that's what the name includes. So, with that being said, let's pull up this line that we have. Do share. Okay, we got Broncos, Chiefs. Line is now at 10.5 in this game with an over under of 47.5. Obviously, Chiefs have been pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. Good record. And the Broncos have been on the opposite end of the spectrum. They've been one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they let Brees Hall run wild on Sunday against the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. Short week for both these teams. Ethan, thoughts going into this Thursday night game? It starts pretty soon.
Thoughts are very simple. The Broncos are a laughing stock, and it makes my heart warm that Sean Payton said all those crazy things about Nathaniel Hackett at the beginning of the summer, how it was like the worst coaching job in history, and then they let the Dolphins put 70 points on them, and they just look horrible. So I mean, if we're gonna do any official bets here, Chiefs money line. It's not degenerate, but it's safe because like I'm expecting a complete and total domination by the Chiefs.
I
So
agree. Um, they should. It is minus 600. Uh, but I agree with you in the fact that I don't love the spread here. I think it's a little too much for me to partake in 10.5. I think
right.
what I'm more going for, and this is what we did well on the Thursday night game 2 weeks ago when we did episode 2, is finding that touchdown score. And I know it's a little chalky, but I would definitely throw a flyer on Travis Kelce at minus 140 anytime
hmm
touchdown. I think he finds himself in the end zone, so that's an official play. Uh, I would throw a flyer at half of a unit, but we'll do it as an official play for vibes. Jarrett McKinnon at plus 245, finding himself in tonight's end zone. Those are my 2 touchdown scores, Ethan. And then I'm also doing a third play, a teaser, a 2-team teaser of the Chiefs to minus 4.5 and the under of 53.5. So a 6-point teaser with the Chiefs and the under. So those are my 3 official plays. What do you think?
So repeat it again. You got McKinnon touchdown and
Kelsey touchdown,
Kelsey touchdown.
and then 6-point teaser with the Chiefs tease down 6 points, so it goes to 4.5, and the under tease down, or technically teased up, to 53.5.
Got it.
So those
Got
are
it.
the 3 official plays that I have in this game. Ethan, are you gonna pull the trigger here? Any official?
Um, so as you were talking about the touchdown parlays, I was thinking about it because I'm pretty sure that so far through our first 2 podcasts, I'm 100% on my touchdown picks. I mean, this is like, we can't prove this, but I did text in one of our group chats that I wanted DJ Moore anytime touchdown, and he got it. So,
You got
for
a
me,
few of them.
and he played incredible. Anyway, I think that for this game, I think that I kind of want to wait to see what else is on the docket before I make a decision. We could circle back to it because I'm thinking about it. I really like the Kelsey bet. And the thing about the Chiefs is just like anyone could score on any different day because their play calling is so creative. And besides for Kelsey, I feel like their run game and their wide receivers are inconsistent in a good way because their offense is just so good. Like someone kills you every single night. I mean, every single game. So we'll see if I decide on anything. But for now, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. And I would just say this to the people watching: Pacheco anytime touchdown would definitely be something I'm looking at, as well as his rushing attempts and rushing yards. I think it's going to be a heavy running game for the Chiefs, considering how bad the Denver rush defense has been so
Yeah,
far this year.
sure. I'm starting Pacheco in fantasy, so first time this season. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I like that decision. We'll move quickly here on to college football. So those are our plays for Thursday night. As we're recording this game, getting started in about a little over an hour. By the end of the episode, maybe Ethan will come around and make a degenerate pick himself in
I
this
will. I
game.
will. Scouts on.
Yeah, love it, love it. Okay, so we move to college football, and as I was saying a few minutes ago, this is the best. This is the biggest game on the college football slate that we have this weekend. We're not talking about Texas because they're on bye. We don't want to rehash what happened last week
No
to
need.
OU.
No need.
No
We're
need.
okay.
Yeah. Are we
We're
okay?
we're
We're
not okay, but it's one day at a time. One day at a time situation.
100%. Oregon, Washington, Pac-12 back in the spotlight. Another crucial Pac-12 game with college football playoff conference championships, all the Wazoo things that are on the line in this game. Game is in Wazoo. Washington, Oregon. Washington getting a 3-point edge in this game. So basically a pick 'em because they are the home team in this game. Both teams, offensively especially, have been incredible all year long. Two fantastic quarterbacks that could be in the Heisman consideration with Michael Penix Jr. for Washington and Bo Nix for Oregon. Ethan, I want to get your thoughts on this game. Who do you think wins? Because honestly, I think this is a complete and utter toss-up.
Yeah, I'm going with Oregon, honestly. I know that Washington is one spot higher, but I don't really care. I mean, based on, Oregon's, I feel like early season dominance. I feel like I'm gonna roll with Oregon. Official play, Oregon money line for me.
Wow. Okay.
There's some
So,
degeneracy.
yes, and I'm going to counter right back at you, Ethan. I'm going to take Washington -3. I think at home they get it done. Also, I think Michael Penix Jr. is just a little bit better than Bo Nix in the college game right now.
That's the beautiful thing about this podcast. We disagree. We're gonna give our
See?
listeners
I
some.
think you've done better than me when we've had disagreements here on the show.
I don't know. I don't know. We can go back and see, but I'd
Yeah.
say we're about even. I'd say we're even.
Yeah, well, I think we're around even. But this is a big game, Washington, Oregon. This is going to be a great football game. It's the best game on the slate. So another rule that we have here on the Degeneracy podcast / YouTube show, you gotta bet the best game on the board. I don't care if you're
Always,
confident in it. You
always.
got always. Now, with that, we go to another incredible game. As I scroll and find it here, we'll talk about this one: USC and Notre Dame, and then we'll talk about the one below it in a second. USC and Notre Dame spread is at 2.5. No, I'm not going to bet it on here. Not allowed in California. USC and Notre Dame -2.5. Notre Dame, so another near pick 'em because the game is in South Bend. Notre Dame's had a lot of close affairs back and forth. They just got trounced, though, in Louisville last week. Their
Yeah.
college football playoff hopes kind of dashed. Not a ton to play for, given they're not in a conference, but everything to play for with USC, who survived, and I mean survived. Late night, few of us from Austin, as you know them, Ethan, we were watching that game with the squad at the bars at like 1 a.m. They played Arizona. They won in, I think, double overtime.
So
Crazy
silly.
game. Yeah,
So
crazy,
silly.
crazy game.
That's probably why Notre Dame's favored, right?
Yeah, I think that factors in the line for sure. I think USC's defense has been utter garbage all year, and nothing's really changed from last year. But are they a better team than Notre Dame? That's up for debate. And what do you think with this line?
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna. I don't know if I want to put an official play on it, but I just I can never bet against Caleb Williams. Like he's just the top of the top. He's like to me, he's like the Victor Wembanyama of the NFL. Like everyone knows he's going number one. Like there's no debate. And it's just it's hard to bet against a player like that, even with the close call, like a shockingly close call. You would think that Lincoln Riley will, as offensively gifted as he is, he'll rally the troops and kind of get them back on track versus Notre Dame.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm going to make it an official play.
Okay.
USC money line. I also am going to take one official play. I don't usually bet touchdown scores in college football, but you talked me into it. Caleb Williams anytime touchdown at even odds at plus 100, as I see here on DraftKings. I think he finds himself into the end zone. Obviously, with quarterbacks, when you do an anytime touchdown, has to be rushing, or if he somehow catches a ball in the end zone, so his passing touchdowns wouldn't count for this bet
And
specifically.
you talked me into USC money line too. Like I was thinking about it, and I was like, nah, but I put us both down for official play USC money line.
I love it. I love it, and we'll see what happens. Not an easy game in
Not at
South
all.
Bend. But this is another big game for both teams, especially USC, and in prime time, it will be for sure one everyone needs to tune in for. Another game at the same time, so you're going to need multiple screens here late night on Saturday. Miami and North Carolina. And
Mhm.
before I give you who I think is going to win this game, Ethan, another game that I watched this past weekend, and I have no words to describe how Miami lost that football game to Georgia Tech. Let me tell you the situation. I put in our chat, but I don't know if you saw it. Basically, what happened was Miami was up, I want to say 3 to 6 points with 30 seconds left, and it was third down, so they could run the ball or they could take a knee and the game's over. You take a knee, you have no chance of losing, basically. What do? They run the ball, they fumble it, Georgia Tech recovers, and they go on a historic legacy game-winning drive to win the game and stun as three touchdown dogs on the road against Miami and really just destroy the ball. The head coach of Miami and Miami's chances of really doing something special. They've had a really good year. Didn't lose until last week. Just complete and utter disappointment and embarrassment and like idiocy for I don't even know if I'm saying words right now. I just couldn't put in words what they did against Georgia Tech. Just take a knee and the game's over, and they got what they deserved.
Yeah, I unfortunately after the UT game was over, I was done with football for the day. I just wanted
Not
to
fair.
eat some steak and just kind of relax. But I heard in the group chats people were calling for Cristobal's head, and I can understand why because of what you just said. So, what do you think your plays are going to be if you have any?
So this game, personally, I think I got to stay away from this game. I would favor the over 56.5 total here. North Carolina likes to score points.
Mhm.
Mac Brown, as we know, Ethan, former UT coach, he's
Yeah.
going to run and gun a little bit. High
Hmm.
tempo offense. He's had really good offenses at his tenure at North Carolina since he's been
Hmm.
there. They've been sneaky, quietly good this year, North Carolina, and this is a huge game for the Tar Heels, especially if they want to play Florida State down the line in the ACC championship. They're at home under the lights. It's a big game in
Yeah.
for the Tar Heels, and I think they're going to get it done. Personally, I don't love, Miami might play it with a chip on their shoulder given what happened last week. You just never know in those situations, so I
Mhm.
don't love the spread. I'm, you know, ugh, I got to do it. I'm the degen here in this game. I'm taking the over 56.5 as an official play. I think points will be scored between these two squads. Do you have anything for this game?
No, you
Okay.
said it yourself. I think that I'm the less degenerate of the two of us, and I think I will be staying away.
Okay. I mean, usually if you say those words out loud, it's a good thing. But I guess for this podcast, it's not a good thing. But what doesn't matter. But we move on
We're
nonetheless.
moving and grooving.
We're moving and grooving. Good tempo and pace. I love when we have good tempo and pace. I think it's better for the audience too. They just, they listen to us. They put their bets or they fade us. I don't care what you do, and then you move on with the next game. We have another great game as we always do on the college football slate board. UCLA, Oregon State. It's the last game we'll cover here on college football Saturday, and then we'll switch gears to the NFL. I know NFL is probably the best and most favorable sport to bet on in the betting space sports community, and it's the most watched of the sports. So we'll get into NFL right after we quickly touch on this game. Another big game in the Pac-12. Oregon State getting 3.5 as the favorite against UCLA, who's coming off a very impressive victory against Washington State over the weekend. Big game for both these squads. Ethan, any plays in this game? Who are you leaning maybe?
Well, we're leaning. I'm just taking a quick look at Oregon State's schedule. They've
Nothing impressive yet.
really not, and they had versus Cal, who is kind of mids, right?
Yeah.
They're literally 3-3. That's the definition of mids.
They are. Yeah.
They had a 12-point win, very high scoring, and they lost that close one versus Washington State. I think that here's some degeneracy. We'll go UCLA money line.
Wow, that's a bold pick right there. UCLA money line. Okay.
I don't care. It's pure degeneracy. We're being degenerate.
Yeah. Good odds, good value, good ROI if it hits. Plus 150 UCLA. Do I want to do anything in this game? I probably should stay away, but yeah, we don't. We're gonna go under 54 points in this game. I think if UCLA is going to keep it close, like the spread indicates, they're going to lean on their defense. It's been really good this year. And Oregon State, in their other game against another defensive-minded team back a few weeks ago, they played Utah in Corvallis. Very low-scoring football game. So I like the under 54 here.
Is that going to be an official play?
I'm going to reluctantly say yes. It is an official play. Definitely a lot more confident plays that were given out earlier on some of these games, but this play definitely not the.
Listen, transparency is important. If you're not confident, you're not confident. To all the listeners, sometimes the part of being a pure degenerate person, you got to take some risks. You got to take some shots. That's how it works. That I feel like the heart of a champion is when you are really sweating a game that you were not confident about.
Yes,
so that's what this is. We're both not confident on this game, but UCLA, I'll take an upset here because we're pure degenerates. It's the name of the podcast for a reason.
The other thing, though, we got to talk about these games for the betting public just because these are going to probably be the most bet games since they're the quote-unquote best games of the slate. So we want to give our at least opinions on these games, and you take them. You could leave them at the door. I don't care. But just know that some of these bigger games we're going to have more confidence in. A game like this one, we're going to have less confidence. It's just how it ebbs and flows. But again, given our name of the podcast, we're still probably going to bet it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, I'm knocking on wood right now. You talked about, 55% of bets have to cash for us to be profitable. We are going strong. We've had a great start to the podcast. Let's just keep it going.
Let's keep it going. And I feel good about this week, honestly, going into it. And I mean, NFL, we'll get into this right now. NFL, we've been really killing it, especially in the primetime games. We've done a really good job. So again, to go over the logistics on the NFL, we'll always do the Thursday night game. We'll do the Sunday night. We'll do the Monday night. All 3 primetime games. And then we'll also do a few games during the Sunday afternoon slate that we think are appealing and that we will be watching. And at least for now, the Texans are going to be on there because for me, as a non-Texan fan, non-bias here, they're fun to watch, and I got to watch every game. It's been a very fun season. We'll get to the Texans, but first, Ethan, listen, I've been flying quite a bit recently. I have a lot of miles. Let's take some miles and let's take a flight. We're heading to London early in the morning on the West Coast and a little later in the morning on the East Coast. Ravens, Titans, another week of NFL action in London. Surprised the Jags aren't there this week, but we have the Ravens and the Titans. The Ravens are 4-point favorites coming off a just absolute mess of a game in Pittsburgh, somehow losing that one to the
Mhm.
Steelers. Titans, they've been up and down. They have not been pretty to watch, in
Mhm.
all honesty, but they're only
Mhm.
4-point dogs. What are you feeling in this game?
Uh, I think that this is where I'm gonna take a touchdown scorer.
Yes,
I want DeAndre Hopkins to get
he
into
was
the
good
end zone.
last week.
Official play. He had a great week last week. Ravens defense so far has been very middle of the pack this year. Secondary, I mean, Ravens secondary has been pretty middle of the pack. And I have always, since his days on the Texans, since he left, I've always and will remain a DeAndre Hopkins supporter. I think that people write him off way too early. Like he had the suspension from the performance enhancers. He had a couple injuries, but you can't just write an elite receiver off as so many people did. And last week shows he can still ball out, and I would love a touchdown here. So official play, Hopkins, anytime touchdown. I don't think he scored this year. I have him on my fantasy team. I'd love a score here, especially on the primetime London game.
I love it. And going back, I'm not going to make this an official play, but I will say I favor the underdogs in these London games. Just a
Mm-hmm.
long trip. You're not going to get just a normal type game. And we saw that last week with Jacksonville. I know they were there an extra week because they were playing back to back weeks in London, which is very rare. But, I just like the underdog in these kind of early games. You're kind of off your routine. I won't bet it officially just because I'm not confident really in much of the Titans' offensive juggernaut, you could say, but it's not a juggernaut of an offense. But I would lean them. I will not take it. My official plays, Ethan, in the NFL, unlike college, I love taking spreads and teams. I love taking touchdown scores in the NFL. So we're making official plays here
Okay.
on these two touchdown scores. Number one, another obvious touchdown score, but I just think he's gonna find his way, rumble and tumble into the end zone. Derrick Henry at
I've
plus.
already started typing as you were saying that. It's an obvious pick, but it's a great pick though.
Yeah, it's a system play, but we'll take it plus 100. And then this guy, I watched him last week on NFL Red Zone a lot, and I really liked his game. I saw him last year. I was a big fan of him last year at Tulane University as well. Big game in the New Year's Six Bowl upset against USC from Tulane. Tajay Spears at very good value. I'll take only a half unit on it though, since his odds are a lot better. Plus 225, Tajay Spears to get himself into the end zone. So those are my two official plays in this Titans Ravens game. As I said, I do favor the Titans, but personally, I wouldn't take a side on the spread either way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but again, it's a London game. How often are we going to get games in London? Well, right now, once a week, so we're betting on that. Let's move on to the next game on the slate, and let's look at the time here. I think we're doing pretty well. We
Yeah.
are. So, since we're doing well in time, tempo and pace has been exceptional. Let's
Mhm.
talk about the Seahawks and the Bengals, and then
Right.
we'll get into your Texans. Bengals -3 against the Seahawks. Bengals finally looked a little bit of the part last week in Arizona. Very comfortable win for them. Joe Burrow on the offense got going. Jamar Chase has been a no-show all year. Well, guess what? He got in the end zone not once, not twice, but maybe three times, or maybe twice. I don't know. He was in the
Time.
end zone a lot and a
Yeah.
ton of yards.
Yeah.
Um,
He had
so
66 points for me in one of my fantasy leagues that does bonuses for 40-yard completion plays and over 100 yards receiving. So I had a very, very nice week last week because of him. It was great.
that is incredible. 66 fantasy points. That is
Mhm.
off the charts.
You don't see that every week.
No, Almost never in any week. With that being said, the Bengals getting 3-point favorites against the Seahawks in Cincinnati. Ethan, this is a really hard game for me.
Yeah,
I do like the Bengals to win this game and cover
right,
this spread at
right.
home. But, the NFL, you can't really take what a team did last week into the next week. It's so random sometimes. But
Yeah,
I just think the Bengals are too talented, at least in the offense of realm of things with the players and the talent that they have on that side of the ball to really lose to this Seahawks team. I know the Seahawks have gotten off to a really hot, fast start, but I do think they're going to start coming back to earth here in a little bit. And this week they're going to. So, official play. Uh, I'm going to do this. -3 at +100 for the Bengals. I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it by a touchdown.
sounds good. I think that I'm probably going to stay away from this game because, as you said, I think it could go really either way. The Bengals, they look a lot better when they throw Jamar Chase the ball. It's literally a 1+1=2 situation. However, their secondary, the Seahawks secondary with Devin Witherspoon, the rookie, he's been playing great. I don't know if Jamal Adams will be back this week, question mark, but if he plays, that will be a huge boost. I think that it wouldn't. I would love for Jamar Chase to play well again because I have him on my fantasy team, but I don't think that he's going to go nuclear again like he did last week. So I was thinking, do I want to throw a touchdown on Chase? I'm going to say no. I think that it's going to be a fun game to watch, though. I'm going to sweat it. I have DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase, it's going to be a fun game fantasy wise. So, but I think I'm going to stay away from it.
Okay, I like it. Definitely a huge game for fantasy players with the
Mhm.
Bengals and the Seahawks. A lot of big names for both teams in that game. It won't be an official play, but you can give me DK Metcalf to get into that end zone at some point. On
Yeah, I took him with my last touchdown pick, and he made me happy. So hopefully he'll do it again.
We will see. Time will tell. And speaking of time will tell, the Texans, the time is now. I know they lost a heartbreaker last week to the
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons, I believe, on the last drive of the game. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure
Game field goal.
yeah, I'm sure you could get into that. But in this game, they're getting 1.5 points against the Saints. Another toss-up
Mm-hmm.
game for this Texans team. But even, I kind of want to bet them in this spot. They've just been a fun team, and they've really impressed me on both sides of the ball and how CJ Stroud has really come into his own early on in the season.
Can you scroll down to or can you give me like the
Yeah.
individual, like the player props? Because there's one that I'm particularly interested in.
Do you like
Do
rushing or receiving?
wide receivers.
Yeah. So here,
So
receive.
Robert Woods over 40.5. I think that I'm going to make an official play on that. Um, Here's what I have to say about the Texans. I have been so wrong this entire season about I have predicted every single game wrong for the most part. I expected us to lose week 1 against the Ravens, and we did. But ever since that, I have been wrong on every single game. I thought that we would lose to the Steelers and lose
Jags.
to the Jags, and we did not. We played super well against, no complaints here. Like, it's nice to be a realist and then be surprised. That's great. But I really thought that the Texans should have won last week. I think that we're a more talented team, even with Bijan Hookham, former one of ours. I think that the Texans are a more talented team than the Falcons are. But really, just it was a crushing loss for sure. Like, it was, we scored at the end. It was a beautiful touchdown throw from Stroud to Dalton Schultz, who has kind of come alive these last couple of weeks, which is great to see. So going into last week, I really thought the Texans could be 4-2, winning against the Falcons and against the Saints this week. But I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself because I've just been wrong so many times. But I am, I forgot to write it down. Official play for sure will be Robert Woods over 40 yards. because Nico Collins, have him on my fantasy team. He's definitely kind of coming into his own this year, which is what a lot of people expected. People wanted that last year, but he dealt with some injuries. I think that he's probably going to have his hands full with Marshawn Lattimore. He's still kind of inexperienced being like the lead guy on, for our squad. No Tank Dell either. But I'm thinking that Nico Collins, Marshawn Lattimore is so good. He's so experienced. I think that CJ Stroud will have to look for other players to get involved here. I will say Bobby Slowick's play calling so far has been very, very good. Our offensive coordinator last week, I think that we could have scored a lot more than 19 points versus the Falcons. But their secondary also very underrated. So regardless, I think that official play for sure. Robert Woods over 40. And I said we could be 4-2, and I don't want to. I'm a Texans fan, and I think that the fan in me wants to say that the Texans are going to win, but I don't feel comfortable betting on it. So I think that's the only official play I'm going to make for this game.
Okay, that is fair. Good for you. Your own team staying away from this game. Obviously, a very winnable game, but at the same time, very losable game. Could really go either way, and that's why the spread's only 1.5 in favor of the Saints in that direction.
Yeah.
Ethan, Mr. Winelocks, I like it dirty. I like it degen, and you want to get degen on an official play. Well, let me introduce you to over 1.5 made field goals for Kiami Fairburn.
Yeah.
Probably not pronouncing that.
Fairbairn. You're close. You're close.
Yeah, first or last name correctly. But I do think both teams are going to be able to move the ball just a little bit, nothing crazy. But I think the Texans are going to move the ball into the Saints territory a lot on Sunday. But at the same time, I think the Saints defense is kind of a bend but don't break defense where they're going to give up some yards. They're going to give up some big plays. But when they get down the goal line into the red zone area, they're going to buckle up. They're going to tighten up. And I think they're going to make the Texans kick a lot of field goals in this game. I really, really like him to make 2 or more field goals in this game at even odds. So
that's a really good take. Fairbairn is an incredible kicker. He's been like quietly one of the better kickers in the NFL. People don't talk about him all that much, but he's a fantastic kicker. He's already been on the team for like 6 or 7 years now. He's great. Zero complaints with him as the years have gone along. But I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think that losing Tank Dell, now that I think about it, we lost him in the first half versus the Falcons. I think that put a huge dent in our offense. He's a very speedy, electric player, and not having him, I think, will really hurt. However, I still believe in what Bobby Slowick, CJ Stroud, I still believe in what they've been doing. So we'll see. I'm confident that they'll combat it somehow, but I don't really know how. Well, hopefully Dameon Pierce. I love Dameon Pierce. He really has not come to play this year, but I don't think it's his fault. I think that he just hasn't really found a bunch of running room behind a injured offensive line, but they're back. So maybe that's the play. Maybe just run it down their throats and take it from there. So I don't want to make that an official play either, anything on Dameon Pierce, but I'd like for him to have a good game this week.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I was honestly thinking of taking him to anytime touchdown. I wouldn't mind it. Won't be an official play.
Listen, if you take it, I'll take it. If you take it, I'll take it because he hasn't scored yet, and I'd love to see it. I would love to see him do something.
And there we go, folks. If you're listening and watching, it's an official play for both Ethan and I. Dameon Pierce, anytime touchdown. I can't really find it here on DraftKings what the odds are for an anytime touchdown.
Come out.
But yeah, it will come out, and we'll post it on social media when it does, assuming it hits, which hopefully, knock on wood, it will hit. Before we get to the next game, Ethan, I just wanted to say I wanted to pull up Fairbairn, whatever, his stats this year. Has he really made 15 to 16 field goals already this season? That number seems extremely high.
Yeah, until the touchdown in the fourth quarter, we had 12. Yep, that math makes perfect sense. 19 minus 12 equals 7. So, yeah, literally the whole game, field goal after field goal after field goal. He was on fire. So, he's great. He's a very, very good kicker. So,
Yeah, I like it. I like it even more. 15 of 15 on the year already through the
yeah,
first 5 weeks inside the 50-yard line. The only
yeah,
one that missed was 50 plus. So
yeah.
I really like that prop. We'll see if it cashes. First field goal prop, I believe, on this show. So we'll see if we can go 1-0 on those.
Mhm,
Moving on to the probably the best and biggest game in the afternoon, later afternoon on the East Coast slate, the Lions and the Buccaneers. Both of these teams surprisingly off to good starts.
mhm,
4-1 Detroit,
mhm.
3-2 Tampa Bay, and this game is in Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay, my microphone falls here. I think they had a bye last week, and maybe not.
That sounds right.
They might have
I
played
can
last week,
real
Tampa
quick.
Bay. But Detroit has looked really good. They've looked the part. We hit big on them 2 weeks ago on this show in episode
Mhm,
2 against the Packers on Thursday night. I
mhm.
I
They did
really
have a bye last week, by the way.
okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I really like this Lions team. I think Dan Campbell's done a fantastic job with the Lions.
Mhm,
Montgomery's been amazing. The
mhm.
Sun God, I think, is supposed to play. And yeah, let's remind people he was out last week, and they still got the job done.
What 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 was his injury? Do you
I
remember?
no, I don't remember. I think it might have been an ankle, or not really sure.
I'm
Um,
looking it up right now too.
but
Uh,
but
um,
he's back. I saw reports that he
yeah,
is
he's
supposed to be back.
abdomen.
Okay,
That's not really a concern for wide receivers, I feel like,
yeah.
for the most part. So,
So in this game, I'm going to make an official play. I'm taking the Detroit Lions minus the 3. I'm
mhm,
also going to take we're gonna do it until it doesn't hit. So we're taking Amon Ra, the sun god. It's gonna be sunny in Tampa Bay on Sunday. It's gonna shine bright on Mr. Amon Ra St. Brown. We're taking him anytime touchdown as well at plus 125. So those are my two official plays in this game. I think Detroit's a better team. I know it's in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has had a very decent slash good start to the season, but I just think the Lions are more talented top to bottom, both sides of the ball. And Dan Campbell, I believe, is a better coach. And I also love quarterback, taking the better quarterback. And there's no
mhm,
doubt that the better quarterback lies on the Detroit Lions.
mhm. What is the over for this game? Over 42.
42.
God, I kind of like that because I feel like both teams have some weapons. Um, get back to me on that. I may want to take the over in this game.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. But I like your picks a lot. I like your picks a lot.
Okay. Any Buccaneers that you might have your eye on that could find their way into the end zone?
Um, I may be all touchdowned out.
Okay.
And
That's
to
fine.
be honest, the honest truth for our listeners back home, I really have not paid a lot of attention to the Bucks this year. Like I kind of, with Baker, I am one of the biggest Baker haters in the world because not like, you know, as a person, whatever, but like just like, when he was on the Browns, I think that they were a Super Bowl team and I like solely blame him for them not reaching the Super Bowl. So now that he's kind of, he bounced around a little bit, I'm happy that the Bucks are playing well with him. It's great that it seems like he's found his next home and he's been playing well. But I just haven't really been paying attention to them this year, unfortunately. So, but I should because Mike Evans is clearly probably not going to be there next year, and I think he's had a pretty good start to the season. So, but yeah, I think I'll probably stay away from touchdowns in this game.
Okay. No, that is totally fine. And yeah, honestly, it's more for me. Like you said, I haven't been paying much attention to the Bucks this year. It's more just me locked in and paying really good attention on the Lions. I'm really bullish on this team, one of the best teams I think in the NFL
Yeah.
right now. They're just a fun watch.
You know what? You bet two plays on this. I'll take the over. What was it? Over
42.
42.
Okay.
Take that official play. You heard
Let's
it
go.
here. Uh, I'll do that. I'll do
Okay.
that.
Over 42 for Mr. Winelocks. We'll take it, and let's hope for some points. Hope for an Amon Ra touchdown as well as a Detroit Lions win by 4 or more.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 3 or more, I won't be complaining. A push is a win in our community.
Yep.
So, with that, we go to the last two games of the NFL slate. We'll hit on both primetime games. We'll do this one quickly because this should be a blowout. And then we'll obviously get into the Chargers Cowboys Monday night. But this is a Sunday night game in the
Yeah.
state of New York. New York Giants, Buffalo Bills. The spread is 2 touchdowns and add a half a point. 14 and a half. Big spread. Bills trying to bounce back from a disappointing loss in London. Giants have been absolutely horrid and an
Mm-hmm.
awful watch. Daniel Jones even got hurt at the end of the last game. Tyrod Taylor had to come in. They got boat raced to the Dolphins. They've been, in my eyes, the worst team in the NFL consistently all year long. Obviously, they technically are better than the Carolina Panthers, who haven't won a game, but they've been trailing basically every single game. They have looked just really, really bad on both sides of the ball, especially on offense. They've looked
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous.
It's all offensive line related. Like
Yeah,
you
they
can't
can't run the
put
ball.
up how many times did he get sacked versus the Seahawks? Like 11 or something like that. You
Yeah.
can't. That's unheard of. You
Yeah, you
know
can't be a good NFL team if you don't have an offensive line. The Giants do not have an offensive line.
they do not.
I quickly in this game, I'm just looking at this. I'm just thinking to myself, I can't do a spread this big. Personally, I just hate betting spreads that are bigger than double digits in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to bet, I've been doing so many touchdown scores. Let's do a prop instead. Let's do, hmm, thinking to
Real
myself.
quick, before you make your decision, is there any bets on like over under sacks?
Yes. I don't know if they have it on here. Defense. There are on some books. It depends on the book. I don't know if they will show it on DraftKings, but there
No,
are.
it's okay.
Uh,
But
uh,
like I think that if our listeners, wherever you
yeah,
guys are, if you have the ability to bet on the sack over, that seems like a gimme at this point. I won't make it official in an official play because we can't really see what the lines are looking at on DraftKings. But and also feels like a good time to say while we encourage some bets, but always bet within your means. We're not ever going to say you should do this or we'll kill you. But the over the sack the over sack bet. The Bills defense is great. I know that they're out. No Matt Milano. He's great, but I would if there's any way to bet on like the Bills defense to get over 2 sacks, that's a gimme. Maybe even over 3 sacks. That could be a gimme too. But I will not make that an official play.
okay.
Yeah.
And uh, I'm gonna stay away honestly in this game.
Okay.
I don't love anything. I don't want to force something that's not there.
True.
Bills will win. They'll win comfortably.
Yeah.
Expect them to step on the gas first half, then maybe take a few breaks in the second half. They
Mhm.
won't be close. I would be stunned if the Giants keep it close, but you never know. It's the
Never know.
NFL. I've seen crazier things. We'll see what happens in that game and in state rivalry. So
Yeah.
there's that to factor in as well. Definitely, as we've talked about on the previous episodes, look into the weather, especially in a place like Buffalo. Sunday night, you never know if that weather could impact some of your bets. So definitely, before you place a bet, because I know most people will, it's the get back spot on Sunday Night Football to try to end out the week in the
True.
green.
True.
Make sure you check that weather report on Sunday. We move on to the last game, and they save the best for last. We got the Chargers and the Cowboys, quote unquote, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who got absolutely obliterated last week in prime time to the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers coming off a bye. Another thing that you'll learn as we do this week in and week out, love taking teams off buys.
Mm-hmm.
Will I take the Chargers? No, because they're cursed. But I usually love taking teams off buys, and I would definitely favor them in this spot. But it's a big game for both teams. Cowboys trying to prove themselves, try to keep that race still going early on in the year. They don't want to get too far behind Philadelphia for the NFC East division. Also, the Chargers, they've managed to get back to 500. They're still in a decent spot given some of their struggles on the defensive side, mainly. Big game for both teams. Spread 2 points in favor of the Dallas Cowboys over under a 50.5. Ethan, thoughts going into this game? And I like the touchdown board to just be lit up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to take I think that this game in theory should be an offensive shootout, so any player could score. But can you scroll? Can give me the yards? Can we get some yards for players?
Yes, I can give you.
I've been waiting to say this all season, and I haven't been able to. Um, Not there yet.
So
Do
it's
we?
early in the week, so it might
Okay.
not all be there.
That's a bummer because I won't make an official play then, but this is what I was going to say. Brandon Cooks has been a complete letdown all year, but I really don't think it's his fault. Like I am a big Brandon Cooks supporter since his days on the Texans. Last year he had a bad year, but it really to me also was not his fault. They just did not give him the ball. And this year I think that the Cowboys so far have played like some pretty tough secondaries, and that like they really have not. I've watched a lot of their games this year, even though I'm not a huge Cowboys fan. Brandon, I have him on my fantasy bench too in a couple leagues. He has not played well at all this year, but I don't think it's on him. I don't. As I said, like I think that they really just have not been able to sling the ball like they want to. This to me, even though the Chargers secondary is pretty good with Derwin James and Asante Samuel and all of them, this seems like a really prime spot for Brandon Cooks to have something, you know. So I was going to take I don't know, what his over on the yards is, but if should I just do like a blind official play and take the Brandon Cooks over yards
Yeah,
because
and
that's
I'll
what
text
I'm going to
you
do.
when I find the
Okay,
line
so
when it
for
comes out.
me, official play Brandon Cooks over on his yards. That's what I would love to see.
I love it. Okay.
We're doing it blind. Pure degeneracy. Doing it blind.
Doing it blind. Some of the sports betting sometimes is doing it blind anyway. So we move to my official play in this game. Looking at it, trying to feel it out. What's coming to me? I like. mm, I like Keenan Allen to have a really good game. I think over 78.5 is a lot of yards, but I do think he gets it in this spot. I think Herbert's going to be slinging it. I also think Chargers easily could get behind early, and then he's going to have to start throwing the ball a lot. I was thinking about Eckler, but I'll stay away from Eckler in this spot. I like Keenan Allen over 78.5.
I mean, regardless of what's been happening these past couple weeks, like the Dallas Cowboys defense is still so good, like
Yeah.
it's going to be tough to get stuff going on the ground, I think.
Yeah. But they haven't been good in the secondary. They've given up a lot of chunk plays, a lot of big points. You saw some of that against the Niners. Ayuk had some big catches.
Yeah.
Debo, Kittle went wild. So
Yeah.
I like Keenan Allen to attack this secondary, have a big game over 78.5 receiving yards an official play. I also will take the over in this game. I love points, and who doesn't love starting the week in the green betting an over? So we'll take over 50.5 as my second and final official play of the weekend. And with that, in an extreme impressive tempo and pace, keep it within 50 minutes here. For the people, you want to get to the picks. You don't need to spend all this time with the explanation. But guess what? We got both for you if you need it. That's why we're here for the people. Ethan, last final thoughts going into this weekend. Another great football weekend. And guess what?
Mhm.
Sooner rather than later, very, very soon. I think a week from next Tuesday, the NBA season gets started. And don't worry, we'll have you covered for the NBA.
Yeah, I feel like as the weeks go along, we're making more and more confident bets. I think speaking for myself, but yeah, I'm excited for this week. We got a lot of pretty exciting bets down, and we'll see what happens. And final note for me, be sure to follow our new Instagram account, puredegeneracy.podcast. We have a pretty nice following on there so far, and now we're just trying to grow. So we're going to be posting, especially when NBA comes around. Like you're going to start seeing multiple posts from us per week, and we're really excited to put our foot on the gas and give you guys some good content. So
100%. Please hit us in the Instagram DMs if you're wanting an analysis on the game, wanting a pick, or just wanting to talk to us. Please hit us up. We're more than welcome to communicate with you guys. Listen, we're doing this because we love talking sports. We love sports betting. We also love just sharing our ideas and our knowledge with you, the people. So this really helps. And the big thing from me before we get on out of here, hit that like and subscribe button here on YouTube. That really, really helps the algorithm. We have a few subscribers, but this thing's about growing, and we really want to try. The goal. I forget how many we're at right now, but I would love in the next few weeks to get to 100 subscribers. It's not easy to do on YouTube, especially for a new channel. So please hit that.
We're gonna do our best to keep firing out content, and I feel like the more grind we put into it, people will respond. So we just gotta keep going, and we're gonna keep going for sure.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for us, let's win, and we've been winning. And knock on some wood, we'll see how we do this week.
Yeah, for sure.
But hot start to get it going, and that was our biggest thing. We want to win for you, so we'll try to keep that momentum going. For Adam, for Ethan, I want to thank everyone for listening to the Pure Degeneracy episode 3 here on YouTube NFL College Football. We have it all for you this weekend, and we have picks across the board. We will see you next Thursday on live and recording here on YouTube. We're signing out. Have a good week.
Looking forward to it.
Have a good week and enjoy the football.